The story is about a girl named Lim Ju. Ever since she was a kid, people have always been mocking her, calling her ugly. Because of this, Lim Ju always wanted to magically transform somehow and become a beautiful girl like a fairy, so that everyone can like her. But when she tried, it didn't end well for her and ended up getting trolled. Years have passed since then, and now she's grown up and is a high school student. Because of her looks, Lim Ju has been getting bullied at her school. Some of the students bully her, and makes her run errands for them. While running errands, she goes to find Hu Bin, her one and only friend. Lim Ju finds Hu Bin attractive and has fallen for him because of his kindness towards her. Later, in the cafeteria, Lim Ju decides to confess her feelings and asks Hu Bin to meet with her tomorrow morning. And her bullies get to know about it. Lim Ju makes cookies at home and writes a confession letter for him. The next day, she meets with Hu Bin and confesses her love to him. Hu Bin gets shocked and tells her he was only being nice to her because she's an outcast, and he felt pity. He then calls her ugly and asks her to be smart enough not to hit on him again. And as he leaves from there, Sammy and her friends arrive there while making a video of it. They start bullying her. Lim Ju asks the reason for them to hate her so much. Sammy says that they hate her because she's so ugly. After that, she goes back to her class and finds that everyone was just waiting for her there to make fun of her getting rejected. Everyone starts calling her ugly and laughs. Poor Lim Ju doesn't know what to do anymore and decides to end her life. Then a guy comes up and notices her about to jump. He quickly runs up to her without wasting any time, and quickly pulls her down. Lim Ju falls onto him and loses her glasses. She couldn't see the guy clearly. Lim stands up. His name is Lee So, one of the main characters. He scolds her and tells her to not to do this again and asks her to come down with him. Lim Ju follows him. But since she's technically blind without her glasses, she keeps asking for his help and he tries to ignore her but hears her collapsing on the floor. Lim Ju cries thinking he might have left her, then he appears in front of her. He offers her piggyback and starts climbing down the stairs. Lim Ju gets curious and asks if he has previously lost someone in the same way. Lee So gets silent for a sec and tells her to shut her mouth. As they get down, he gets her a taxi. Lim Ju requests him to not to be sad anymore, as whoever he has lost did not want him to be sad. Lee So gets home and remembers the time when he failed to protect one of his friends from jumping off the roof. Elsewhere, Lim Ju starts to look for things she can do to look pretty and learns about makeup. The next day she goes to school with makeup and that also goes horribly wrong. Later, she learns that her parents are moving. Lim Ju gets happy to know that she won't have to go to the same school anymore. After that, she learns about makeup and beauty products to do a makeover for herself. The next morning, Lim Ju gets ready and goes to her new school to start a new life with a new look. After that, she meets with Lee So, but none of them could recognize each other. The teacher asks him to escort her to the class. As they're walking, he suddenly stops and Lim Ju bumps into him and her foundation sticks to his jacket. Later he finds out about it and gets angry. Meanwhile, Lim Ju is touching up her makeup and Lee So throws the jacket on her. Later, Lim Ju manages to make new friends because of her new look. She goes to hang out with them later on and enjoy a lot. Later, as she was talking to her new friends over the group chat, her brother clicks her pictures and threatens her to buy him a limited edition comic book, or he'll post the pictures online and everyone will know the truth. She goes to the comic store to get the comic, her brother posts the pictures. But as she was about to get the book, a guy suddenly grabs the book. She starts to fight for the book and falls on him. Lee So recognizes her from the last time he saved her from suicide. Lim Ju gets startled to see Lee So there. She hands over the book to him and quickly leaves the place. Lee So is confused as to why she was ignoring him when he saved her and helped her. Later, Lim Ju goes to a nearby store where she notices Sammy and her friends there. She starts to recall those horrible memories when she was bullied by them and gets sad and runs away from there. Meanwhile, a person is getting chased by a few bikers. He manages to fool them and moves ahead, but then suddenly Lim Ju appears in front of him and both of them trip. She stands up to check up on him. He takes off his helmet and notices the bikers coming back. He quickly stands up to run. After chasing for a while, they end up cornering him. As they were about to hit him, they heard a police siren and decided to leave him for now. Lim Ju comes down from stairs as they leave and bumps into him. Lim Ju gets scared and runs away, but also takes his helmet with her. Later, she goes to return the comic book, but is afraid of meeting Lee So again. She goes inside and grabs one of the book, but right then Lee So comes. Lim Ju tries to hide her face, but suddenly trips and falls. Lee So quickly saves her from falling down. Lim Ju quickly stands up. Lim Ju then learns that Lee So has recognized her, but she doesn't know that he only recognized her from when she was about to suicide. She asks him to not tell anyone, as this will make everyone hate her at school if they find out the truth. He agrees to not to tell her secret, but she isn't so sure. She asks him to sign a confidentiality contract with her. Lee So notices how she copy-pasted the contract from an old comic book, and he discovers that Lim Ju also happens to have a very limited edition comic book that he has been searching for so long. Lim Ju takes the opportunity and makes him sign the contract and buy her stuff. As they leave, she promises him she'll give the comic book tomorrow. At home, she takes the comic book to give it to him, but she's still confused as to how did he recognize her even with all this makeup. As they were heading to school, a biker suddenly comes through, who happens to be the boy Lim Ju met the other day. Her friends introduce him as Han So Jun, and how there's a World War III going on between him and Lee So. The teacher welcomes back Han So, and asks him to sit next to Lee So, but he refuses and goes to sit at the last bench. Lim Ju blinks at Lee So since she thinks that he knows her secret. But Lee So is confused. Later, she comes running up to Lee So and tells him to meet with her on the rooftop. Lee So goes on the rooftop to meet with her. She gives him the jacket and book. Lee So asks the reason for her to be so friendly with him. Lim Ju gets confused. She tries to remind him how they have met outside the school and sort of became friends. But Lee So doesn't remember anything like that and tells her to stay away from him. Lim Ju is now even more confused that if he knows her secret or not. She runs to get the book back from him and takes the bag. Later, she gets a call from Lee So. He asks for the thing she needed to give him back but doesn't specify the item and asks to meet with him at the coffee shop. Lim Ju is confused as to how did he get her number, and what did he want, the book from the no makeup Lim Ju or the jacket from the pretty Lim Ju. She then decided to go with the helmet on. As she was pretending to look inside her bag, he asks for the comic book. Lim Ju gets happy to know and hands over the book to him, and tries to leave immediately, but Lee So asks her to have the coffee he ordered, and insists to remove her helmet. She runs to the bathroom to wash off her makeup, and comes back. Later, Lim Ju returns him his jacket, and as she leaves, Han So comes and she bumps into him. Han So then recalls his memory and recognizes her.